Hi guys. So as you know, I'm a fan of James O'Brien. I generally agree with him, especially when it comes to Brexit. But unfortunately, on this occasion, James dropped the ball, I think. Now, he's going to talk here about Ursula von der Leyen, the European Union, and the Northern Ireland Protocol, and an aspect of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which is Article 16. I've talked about this on the live streams as well. Now, well, let's hear what James had to say, because I think it is a bit problematic.
Again on Friday night, those of us who remain, quite rightly, persuaded that leaving the European Union is going to cause us all manner of problems, have absolutely no problem whatsoever in saying that on Friday night, Ursula von der Leyen and presumably some of her closest confidants and colleagues, they behaved in a way that is almost beyond belief.
So what he's talking about here is the fact that the European Union brought in new legislation to block the export of vaccines. Now, I have a problem with that. I don't think it's the right approach. I think we should try to share vaccines with the UK, with other countries around the world, because we need to deal with this pandemic together as a world. We can't just invoke this type of vaccine nationalism, because it's just going to create problems later on. We might try and we might be able to fix our problems in the short term, but it's going to create long-term problems. And it doesn't set a good precedent for the future. Now, what James is angry about here, it seems, is that the EU brought in this restriction on vaccines. And of course, by doing that, there was the possibility that this would be in conflict with the Northern Ireland Protocol. Now, there was talk about invoking Article 16 of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which would have blocked just the vaccines. It would have opened up part of the Northern Ireland Protocol, which would allow for not the entire protocol to be suspended, but part of it to be suspended until this issue was resolved. Now, at the time, I just dismissed it as a storm in a teacup, and it was resolved within a few hours. Brexiteers lost their mind, and many people were tweeting about how they used to be Remainers and they became Brexiteers when they were actually Brexiteers all along. But James is correct to be angry about this. Is not the correct approach. But this is not something new. I want to show you this article from 26th of February 2020. It says here, UK bans parallel export of 2 COVID-19 treatment candidates to protect national supply. So the UK, less than a year ago, blocked the export of treatments for people with COVID to protect the supply they have in the country. Now, the 2 candidates that they're talking about are here, Lopinova and Ritonnerver. I know I'm mispronouncing them. That's not important, but these 2 candidates which were important. And on the UK government website, this is from the Department of Health and Social Care, you can see these 2 candidates here. They were blocked on the 26th of February 2020 at this time, and this document was last updated on the 22nd of December 2020, so just over a month ago. So these 2 candidates are still blocked. You can see here there's a long list of medicines that are blocked for export, not just 2. Some of them are related to COVID, some of them are not. So it's not something new that the EU were willing to block the export of these vaccines. These things happen all the time. Now, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with blocking treatments. I don't agree with blocking vaccines, because we need to deal with this as a world, as a community on this planet, because it's going to affect all of us. We should be also rolling out vaccines to third world countries, developing nations, because they are going to suffer it as well. And this is the first step in probably a new world where we're going to have to deal with these types of pandemics on an almost yearly basis. There are others coming, in the pipeline, unfortunately, because of climate change, because of other issues. So this type of vaccine nationalism is going to create a lot of problems, I think. But let's hear what else James had to say.
Not just stupid, but downright dangerous and displaying almost as much ignorance with regard to the relationship between the Good Friday Agreement and customs union as Jacob Rees-Mogg demonstrated on this programme many moons ago. I mean, truly, truly breathtaking. And I should probably get this off my chest early because it's a little bit self-indulgent, but you wake up on Saturday morning as one of the country's few prominent Remainers, and apparently you're expected to defend Ursula von der Leyen, or you're expected to sort of try and stick up for the European Commission's absolute disaster.
Okay, I think it's a bit of an exaggeration to say it's an absolute disaster. What's interesting about this Article 16 is that the European Union did not invoke it. Now, Brexiteers will say that they did, but they didn't. It was considered, and just considering it created a lot of problems. But it was resolved very quickly. The Irish government got on the phone to the European Commission, and it was resolved. Now, if you have a problem with the European Union invoking Article 16 or even considering it, then I assume you also have a problem with Boris Johnson doing the same thing, because here's an article from the 30th of January. It says here from the London Economic, reminder that Boris Johnson threatened to trigger Article 16 2 weeks ago. And this is what Boris Johnson said, and I quote, if there are problems that we believe are disproportionate, then we have no hesitation in invoking Article 16. So Boris Johnson was threatening to invoke Article 16, and we didn't hear anything about it. We heard absolutely zero from Brexiteers, very little in the media about it. So when the European Union were considering it, people lost their minds. When Boris Johnson was considering it, we didn't hear even a tumbleweed. So I'm a little bit disappointed that James wasn't up to speed on this. He usually is ahead of the curve on many of these things. But the fact that he dropped the ball here is a bit disappointing, because these are things that are available to all of us. We can find out this information pretty quickly. I found this in a matter of minutes, really. These two candidates, because I was curious about how countries, how often do countries block the export of vaccines or medicines or new drugs? And why do they do it? Generally, it's to protect their own supply. Now, at the same time, it's important to remember that the UK government are not planning to block the supply of vaccines such as the AstraZeneca one, which is kudos to them for not doing that. So I think that's important to put on the table as well, that the UK government are not planning to block any vaccines. These treatments, they are blocking them. Now, I hope this type of action will end. I hope the EU will end the export ban on vaccines. It seems to be in the news today that Pfizer are going to produce a lot more vaccines for the European Union. So I hope that's going to help along it will resolve a lot of these political problems and help along with dealing with this pandemic, because we have to deal with it on a worldwide basis. And we can get to a stage where everyone on the planet is protected. But once again, back to what James was saying, I'm a little bit disappointed that James didn't pick up on this, and he immediately jumped to attacking the European Union for doing pretty much something that the UK government and other governments have done in the past. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?